Hi, my name is Kathryn Templeton, and I want to follow up on the earlier video talking about stress response with regard to the body types or the doshas. So we talked a little bit about the air and ether stress response, and again, these are the archetypes. These aren't; these are general configurations. There's always specific differences, but in the general configuration of the Pittic body-mind type, where there's more fire, more heat, there's a sense of lightness and sharpness to the body type. We see a much more agitated stress response. And because the body is a little bit less durable than kapha, it often has problems with the physiology around digestion, where we get a hot digestion or like an acidic response. Often there's diarrhea that will happen when someone has a lot of stress and they have this fiery type of temperament or prakriti, constitution. We'll see sometimes that they have trouble being able to soften. You know, you might have a discussion with someone with this body type dominance and they're really on point, but they really can't open up the conversation to let other points of view come in. There's a very sharp and almost laser-like quality that can become difficult for them to navigate, and they tend to cut and burn others that might be trying to give them support. Another stress response we see with this type of prakriti is sometimes skin issues. There might be breakouts, acne, for example, eczema. We might see rashes that seem to spread, rosacea, these types of stress responses in the body. And the third thing I'd like to talk about with regard to physiological and biological stress response is actually some issues around some compulsivity that can happen or some obsessiveness that can happen. Not in a pathological manner, not in a clinical manner necessarily, but the style is they tend to become more driven and have a hard time, for example, stopping their work project on time or being able to let themselves rest because they feel like they have to do, or there'll be more stress in their lives. So more to say about this, but these are the general stress responses we see from Pitta dominance. Anger, of course, is the one that most people will point to, and agitation. So what do we do about that? Well, we want to calm those heightened attributes or qualities. So in Pitta, when stress comes on, there tends to be a lot of heat. I always think of that holiday cartoon, you know, where there's the heat miser and he goes around burning everything. Well, that's a little bit about what Pitta does. So we want to bring in cooling foods, dark leafy bitter greens, bring in coconut water, not iced things. We don't mean cool necessarily in temperature. We mean astringent and bitter tastes that help to do a little drying and a little cooling off. We also want to bring in some softness because they tend to get very sharp. So in the asana practices, maybe not working in such a heated faculty, but doing more restorative yoga or yin yoga. Working more with soft pranayama, the Brahmari, the buzzing breath, is a wonderful pranayama to do where you make the sound of the bee. Another pranayama that I like to use for cooling and softening is just the diaphragmatic breath, like we used in the Vata stress response. Sometimes this will create agitation for Pitta dominance, but helping them remember to soften and go within will really help. Asana practices, we're opening up the flank of the body, and those expansive lunging poses is really useful, as well as gentle twisting poses. So expanding and contracting and helping the Pitta dominant person with the stress understand they have the option to move out and into the situation, not just on it. That will really help them out. And then finally, what I think is really important to do is a meditation practice around self-compassion. I say this knowing that everybody who has Pitta stress response has turned off the video, but just bear with me. Because if you can find a way to find a self-loving, self-forgiving, let go of some of that self-criticism when your stress levels get high, the Pitta dominant person will actually feel significant relief, and people around them can bring them more support. They'll be more receptive. So with our psychological work, we want to work with the Pitta dominant person on being more receptive to support, being able to accept support, not trying to do it all themselves. Using yoga, using Ayurveda, using psychology to create this wraparound support plan when those of us who have some Pitta dominance in our nature have a stress response that create these heating, sharp, intense symptomology. I hope that you will look for more information on this on my website, kathryntempleton.com, on Yoga International, or on Banyan Botanicals. and you get some relief.